Welcome to Radiant Spirits Rising with your host, Heather Lena. Heather explores how natural healing can support your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. She guides you on how to harness your inner power to overcome challenges, improve overall health, and strengthen your connection to your true self. Through grounding techniques, holistic remedies, and the transformative practice of energy balance, Heather offers practical insights to help you create harmony in mind, body, and spirit. So now, please welcome the host of Radiant Spirits Rising, Heather Lena.
Hey everyone, welcome to Radiant Spirits Rising with Heather Lena. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. We are moving into a new topic that every time I look at this for my podcast, I get cold body chills because this is a topic that is so important. And it's important to me. And as I started working on this podcast and as I started really looking at this, I realized that what I'm about to talk about is and continues to be a huge step in my spiritual journey. And so I'm excited to share it with you today. Now, before we begin, I normally set an intention for these podcasts, but today I'm going to do something a little different. So today I want to just have everybody close their eyes. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to release any fear, anxiety, regret, frustration, resentment from those that are listening to this podcast, whether it's live or whether it's replay. And I'm going to go in and I want you to say yes, that you want to release any fear, anxiety, regret, any undercurrents of negative energy or emotions that would be holding you back from listening and really looking through a different box of what I'm going to talk about today. Allowing yourself the freedom to acknowledge those fears and then send them into the light. So let's do that. So take a moment and figure out what it is that causes you fear and release it. And then I'm going to download everyone with a knowledge, feeling, and knowing of what it's like to be able to live life without fear. So let's do that. So if you accept that, say yes. And honestly, I can already feel that the energy is better. Okay. All right. So let's go in and talk about our subject. So the subject that I started with when I started working on the podcast was Unlearning Fear, a holistic path to empowerment and spiritual freedom. And then as I moved into this and was working on this, my team was guiding me to go into a subject and then move forward with that subject into the subject of fear. And so we're going to talk, as we're talking about fear is many different things and it's many different components. But when I was starting my spiritual journey, so remember in 2017, I actually started my spiritual journey with the death of my best friend. In 2018, I ultimately ended up leaving Winslow and going down to Phoenix for a year, taking a promotion, which for me was a huge step because I had always said that I didn't want to leave Winslow. I didn't want to promote anyplace else. And so I couldn't leave my dad. All of these fear-based excuses as to why I couldn't leave Winslow and go to work at bettering myself. So, excuse me, when I get down to Phoenix, we get sent to a conference, and we were told that we needed to go in and watch a movie that they were going to be showing. And I didn't want to go. I was like, I don't really want to go watch this. But I got told, you know what? You need to go. You need to go watch this. Excuse me. So I went ahead and drug myself into the area where they were showing the movie. It was about 2 hours long. But I will tell you guys that this movie, and I'm going to talk about it here in just a minute, was a turning point for me in my spiritual journey, in my life, in the changes that I made to my life. And it gave me some clarity that I still use today. Even though I don't realize that I'm using it, I actually am using it, and I use it all of the time. So we're going to start by talking about nudging. What is nudging? Okay. A nudge, so if you go into Google, their AI basically says a nudge generally means to be gently persuaded or encouraged to someone by someone to take a specific action, often without being overly forceful or directive. Okay, or direct. Now, that is a modified GP version of what a nudge actually is, right? Now, according to Google, it's a subtle push in the right direction. Okay. And while I agree that sometimes a nudge can be a subtle push in the right direction, it is also a subtle push or not so subtle push to go into fear-based programming or control-based programming. So I went in and I looked a little bit more. So encouraging and persuading. Okay, so basically this is about persuading. It is a nudge is a subtle way to steer someone towards a particular choice or action. Now they give the caveat without being pushy or demanding. Okay, that's not always the case. As I sit back and I watch, I see nudges and manipulation happening all the time that sometimes are subtle, sometimes are not subtle, sometimes are not pushy, sometimes are very pushy, and sometimes are very demanding. Okay. It also talks about being a literal push where you actually go to somebody and go, hey, what do you think? What do you think? Right? Which is not being pushy, but it is kind of pushy because you're actually touching the other person, right? You're like, hey, listen to me, talk to me. Let's talk about this, right? Don't you agree with me? Hey, don't you agree with me? Right? Or you put your arm around somebody. Oh, come on now. You know that's just how it is, right? Is any of this resonating with you? Because it certainly resonates with me. And then it talked about choice architecture, which is in the context of behavioral science, nudges are often used to describe interventions that influence choices without restricting options or significantly altering economic incentives. So, for example, putting fruit at eye level in a grocery store is considered a nudge as it encourages healthier choices without forcing anyone to buy fruit. So, just like if you were to, when I worked in retail, right, your end caps were your best places. Everybody wished their whole store was end caps because end caps get the biggest show. They get the biggest views, right? They get the biggest nudges. But really, what we're talking about today is a nudge that controls, aka manipulation, right? So in my definition of a nudge is manipulation using fear and control. Now that can be bullying, that can be, oh hey, come on, you agree with that, right? And you get to the point where you're like, I really do not want to do this, but I'm being pressured to do this, right? So manipulation, but they're nudging you. So they're basically saying to you, it's your free will. You can do what you want, but I'm telling you that this is, car salesman tactic. I get it, and it's your decision, but you're not going to get a better deal than what you're getting now. And so the reason why this is coming up is because in 2018, while I was down at a conference with the Department of Corrections, the movie they had us watch was called, it was a Netflix special called Darren Brown, The Push. And this movie is considered, it was put out in 2018. It's considered reality TV. And it is a story about mentalist Darren Brown, who engineers an audacious social experiment demonstrating how manipulation can lead an ordinary person to commit an appalling act. Now, if you have Netflix, even if you don't have Netflix, I would go watch this movie. All right. I was astounded by this movie. And to the point to where the ultimate goal of this social experiment was to push someone to the point, using nudges, using manipulation, to get them to kill somebody, even though they had done nothing wrong. And if I remember right, because I haven't watched the movie, but they did this experiment like 8 times. Now, they don't show you all 8 times. They show you one experiment with one person that they send through this process. And they get this guy to think or kill a person, even though they did nothing wrong. And it was strictly by nudges, control, fear, and manipulation, right? So fast forward, because I watched this in 2018, fast forward 2 years later, right? 2020. And I am as this whole thing starts to roll out in 2020, I start feeding into, and I will tell people this, I started feeding into the chaos, and I started feeding into the programming, and I started feeding into the nudges and the manipulation. And my mother literally came to me and slapped me. It was literally like she was standing in front of me and slapped me like this. There's only been one other time that she's done that. She's had to do that to me, because I was just so embedded that I wasn't looking at things clearly. I was feeding into all of this chaos. And she slaps me and she tells me, and I'm telling you, it literally felt like I had been slapped by a person standing in front of me. And I heard, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to take a step back, and you need to look at what really is going on. And this movie, The Push, came to my mind. And I was like, you know what? She's right. And so I literally took a step back, remembered the movie, remembered how they manipulated, how they pushed, what they were doing. And I could see 2020, the exact steps, just in a different way of doing them, out of this movie. And so every time I start feeding into the chaos or the nudges or the programming, I always think back to this movie and will literally be like, okay, no, we're not doing this movie. We are not going to be a player in this movie, because that's what they're trying to do. Okay. So we're going to go into fear. We're going to go into things that we think, things that we're told. We're going to go in and talk about how we can remove ourselves from it, how we can release it, how we can step back and look at a bigger picture. And I am so excited to cover this topic with you guys. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we're going to go ahead and start our discussion. See you soon.
Mike Zorich, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike Blind Sitzberth was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorick, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Radiant Spirits Rising with Heather Lena. So today we are talking about fear and how we can unlearn it, which is crazy, right? Because you would think you would just want to release it, but really what we want to do is relearn what is causing it so that we don't have it continuing. And that message just popped in my head, so I'm just going to say it. So remember, you can call in at 1-866-451-1451, or you can also type comments to me. I really would like to hear your input as to what we're talking about today. Have you struggled with fear? Is this a topic that you need more information on? Would you like more information about the movie I just talked about? You know what? Get a hold of me. I would love to talk to you about it. All right. So understanding fear-based programming. What is fear-based programming? It refers to deeply ingrained thoughts, behaviors, and reactions we develop. Now, they can be conscious or subconscious. Okay? We can realize that we're doing this, or we don't even realize that we have them. And this is a lot of times due to fear-driven messages or nudges or manipulation. So when we're talking about this today, I'm actually addressing 3 different things. We're talking about nudges, which we're also going to classify with bullying. So nudges / bullying. We're going to talk about just fear-based programs. And then we're also going to talk about manipulation tactics, which are used on all of us. You know what? Sometimes daily, depending on where we work, depending on what we watch, depending on what we listen to. It's all around us. This fear-based program is all around us, everyone. I'm telling you. And one of the best ways I can tell you, and we're going to get into this, but one of the best ways to release your fear is to stop listening and being involved in the programming, or the chaos, as I like to call it. So these fear-based programs can be cultural, they can be generational, they can be societal, or even spiritual. So many times I've had clients come up to me during a session and I'll say something to them such as, I see, or I'm being told you have, I'm being told you have a curse on you. And many times people will say to me, yes, I've gone to a reader before and they told me that I have a curse on me. And I'll say, well, what did they do about it? And I get told, well, they didn't do anything about it. So what they have done is they have created a fear by just telling you that. So whether or not you actually had a curse on you or not, right? They have told you that you have this, which is now creating a fear for you. And then they say, well, you can try this, and this, but that curse is going to be extremely difficult to get off of you, which is not true. Number one. Okay. So if you're being told that, come see me. We'll get rid of it. That's what I do. Okay. But what are they doing? They are creating fear-based programming, because you get up every morning and you're like, yep, I'm cursed. There's just nothing I can do about it. No wonder my life sucks. It's, blah, 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 blah. So what they have done is they have created a fear-based program for you, which really, in some cases, controls the person's life, because they just focus on this belief system, this programming that they've been given. And this is exactly what I'm talking about today, is releasing, unlearning fear. So if someone were to say to you that, you're able to say, okay, well, if that's the case, then I know I can go to Heather Lena and have that removed. And then it's no longer going to be an issue for me, instead of holding on to it and being fearful, not wanting to tell anybody about it, feeling like you're the only person in the world, which, by the way, everybody has curses on them. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, everybody listening here has some kind of a curse on them. Come see me, we'll clear it. All right. But you see where I'm going with this. Generational. So, generational, you could say, words have power. You could say things like, our family has always had bad luck. It's just the way it is. Don't ever plan on making anything out of your life. It just doesn't work. Our family's not geared for that. And that's not true. You're being fed fear-based programming. You are having others put their feelings and emotions onto you. And if you accept those, then you are taking them in and you are just carrying them forward with you. And this is how fear-based programming works. And this was more than obvious in 2020. At the point that I stepped back and I stopped, because I had started watching the news. I had started reading all this stuff about it. And that was so unlike me, because I don't watch the news. I don't read newspapers. If I see something on social media and it kind of sticks out to me, then I will go in and research it a different way to see what it is, the messages that I'm supposed to be getting from that. I don't feed into any of this. Okay. I literally pay for SiriusXM every month so I can listen to music without the ads, without the news, without the programming, because all of that feeds you fear-based programming. It is meant to give you fear-based programming. So if you are living in chaos and you're stressed out all the time, stop watching TV. Stop watching the news. Just stop. Figure it out. You'll find out the information that you need when you need it. It comes to you. It comes to me all the time. So don't think that you're missing out. Don't get involved with any of this, right? Just take a step back and be like, nope, I'm not doing this. And people look at me like I have lost my mind when I say to them, I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the news. It drives me crazy to listen to an FM station, because they are always interceding with advertisements and news and all of this crazy programming stuff that I can feel as I go through my spiritual journey. I actually can feel it. I can feel the programming coming out and hitting me. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, because I don't need this fear-based program going in. So let me give you some examples, right? If I fail, I'll be judged. How many of us have issues with failing because we're afraid that somebody's going to judge us or we're going to be judged? It's not safe to be seen. Now, that was one that I had to work on. Okay. That was a past life for me. The world is dangerous. We hear it all the time. We hear it all the time. All this bad stuff that's happening in the world, all this bad stuff that people are doing. That is programming. That is fear mongering. That is nudging. That is a nudge. They are nudging you. Look how dangerous the world is. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Money is evil. Guys, if you are having issues with money, come see me. We're going to clear that belief. So if you have the belief system, money doesn't grow on trees, money is evil, money is the root of all evil, that is belief systems and fear programming that we need to work with you on. Okay? You have to suffer to grow. I literally just worked on a client last night that had a belief system similar to this, that she could not accept gifts, she could not accept help, that she had to work hard, and if she didn't work hard enough, that she could not accept it, that she could not accept things from other people. That is a huge manifestation block. So if you feel like you have to suffer, if you feel like you have to work hard, if you feel like it's not enough, guys, those are belief systems. Book your session with me. Let's clear that. So sources of fear programming, family systems. So this could be fear of speaking up, being told to be quiet or don't make waves, or guilt or shame used as control, right? So there are certain foods that I despise. One of them is avocado and guacamole. And I can tell you the exact moment that I decided that I was not going to eat guacamole anymore. And that was when I got in trouble because my dad had made some homemade guacamole and I didn't like it. And I told him I didn't like it. And he got pissed at me, told me how rude I was, told me, he had spent all this time making it. And how dare I basically not like this guacamole that he made. And to this day, I will not eat guacamole because that was a fear-based program for me. Was I'm going to get in trouble because remember I've talked about how I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to get into trouble. And so if I just didn't eat it, then there was no opinion about whether or not it was good or not good, whether or not I should eat it or shouldn't eat it. And so something as simple as that can create a fear-based program for you. And I am very steadfast about, I'm a very picky eater. I will tell people that all the time. I don't eat seafood. I don't eat guacamole or avocados. And I am constantly nudged about, well, just try this one. You'll like this one. No, I won't like it. And no, I don't want to eat it. But what are they doing? They're manipulating and nudging me. Oh, just come on, just try it. You know what? You'll like it. Don't worry about it. Instead of saying, I respect that. I get it. There's foods I don't like too, or foods I can't eat too. And I'm not going to push you. Inevitably, I am always nudged to try food or to do this or to try something because it'll be different, but it's not different for me because I don't like it. So this is an example of what we're talking about. Now, organized religion, I've listed this. It is about fear of punishment, fear of sin, of not being worthy. And everybody, I'm telling you, this is a huge fear-based program. I have worked on spirits who have not gone through their transition because of the fear of punishment, the fear of sin, the fear of not being worthy when they die to go to transition. And this is a huge fear-based program. This is not a nudge. This is manipulation. Okay. Mainstream education. So it focuses on competition, it focuses on obedience, and it focuses on punishment. So it's, in school, you don't act up. You don't act up. Kindergarten, elementary school, you walk in a straight line and you don't get out of line because you're going to get in trouble, right? So again, this is all fear-based programming because ultimately you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to be one of those people they're going to call your parents and you're going to get into trouble. And honestly, for me, guys, having a son going through the school district, I realized that my son was not a saint, and I got that. But on the flip side of that, I was able to look and also realize that there were other entities at play, other things going on. And I fought with the school district multiple times when my kid was going through school because I disagreed with what they were doing, what they were saying, what they were trying to do. And that was even before my spiritual journey started. So, and and I would have people come to me and be like, well, I just can't believe you're doing that. Really? Do you not know me? Because I'm not feeding into this. I'm not feeding into this whole thing. I'm just not doing it. Media and news, constant portrayal of chaos, war, crime, division. Repetition you've trained your brain to expect danger. And so if you're constantly watching the media, if you're constantly watching the news, you are going to find that there's a lot of programming in that. Social norms, fear of being different, being judged or rejected. Now, that's a huge one right there, right? That's where the nudges come in, because a nudge can be, well, you don't have to do this, but the rest of us are going to go do this. And FOMO, fear of missing out, right? You're going to miss out on this great opportunity if you don't come with us, or if you don't change what you're doing, or if you don't modify what you're doing. That is a huge nudge. That is a nudge, a manipulation nudge. That is not a fear-based belief system programming. That is just a nudge that is pushing you to that. Okay. Sometimes it can be fear-based, but more likely than not, it's nudges. Oh, come on. Come on. You just want to go. Doesn't matter. Just come on. It'll be great. Don't worry about it. Even though internally your intuition is telling you, yeah, you probably shouldn't go do that. They're nudging you to do that, which is why I include nudges in this. So I'm going to include a quote with the things we're talking about today. So our quote for this section is: the mind is programmable. It repeats what it hears and what it sees, but we have the power to rewrite the code. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion about unlearning fear. See you in a minute.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth, and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Radiant Spirits Rising with Heather Lena. Today we are talking about unlearning fear. Earlier in this podcast, if you missed the first section of this, go back and listen to my discussion about nudging and the movie The Push. And I, again, challenge everybody to watch that movie, but have a really open mind when you do. Look outside of the box, get out of your normal box, and really look at that movie and what really is going on, because that's what happens to us in everyday life all the time. So let's talk about disconnecting from mainstream fear sources. So why the media matters. Why does the media matter? Why do they push this fear-based agenda? It is because it is one of the things that people watch the most. Okay. Now, do I have stats that say that? No. Is it my gut feeling? Yes. Right. Even when radio first came out before television, people would sit around their radios at night listening to the news. Okay. And this, the other good example of that is that, and I don't even remember, this is just popping into my head, where there was a story that being done on the radio about aliens attacking, and everybody believed that it was actually happening based on the way it was doing it, because of the way it was portrayed and all of this. And it created a huge fear base from that movie. This was before TV came out, so you couldn't tell whether it was live or whether it wasn't live, whether it was a show or whatever. But the media has been used for a long time of creating fear-based programming, sending programming out, convincing people of what they need to believe, what they need to feel, what they need to know. Okay. So news and entertainment often focuses on fear because it triggers a survival response. So if you are constantly feeding into this programming, you are constantly in survival mode, fight or flight. And remember, we talked in one of my prior podcasts about how your body DNA is like a computer. And so it takes all of that in, and it just continues to be in fight or flight. And it is constantly going, which is not good for you physically. It is not good for you mentally. It is not good for you emotionally. And it is definitely not good for you spiritually. Because if you're constantly in fight or flight, your body can never actually relax. And because there is chronic consumption in all areas. So I talked about how I listen to Sirius XM. And guys, I'm telling you, there are channels that I listen to, but as soon as one of the DJs comes on, I switch to a different channel when he is on, because he too pushes fear-based programming. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. So I click it to another station. I click it to somebody who's not pushing an agenda, their personal agenda or somebody else's agenda. And if I need to change multiple times so I don't have to listen to people talking and just get the music, then I'm going to do that. Okay. And even music, depending on what you listen to, can also create fear-based programming. So be cognizant of that. If a song really aggravates you, then we need to figure out why that song aggravates you, what it is in that song that is creating a fear-based program or anxiety for you, and clear whatever that is so it no longer affects you. But chronic consumption of all of this equals chronic anxiety. So people constantly are fight or flight. So they are constantly having anxiety. Constantly. And so the first thing I tell people is get off the mainstream. Stop watching TV. Stop watching the news. Stop watching the mainstream programs. I very rarely watch TV. I pay for some channels, but I don't normally watch it. The thing I do is I go in and I start researching if the person actually died or not. More times than not, it's a ploy to just get you to click in to read something that it just isn't even real, right? So don't necessarily feed into everything that's on social media. Go in and do your own research. Reality TV, so it's rooted in drama, comparison, and conflict, right? I'm going to say I used to love watching Food Network shows where they taught you how to cook things. And now Food Network has shifted from those kind of shows to more of competition based. And what I find for me when I go in and I watch these is I start getting anxiety. It's like I'm like feeling all this programming about this competition and who's going to win. So I really have to be cognizant as to whether or not I even watch those shows, how much I watch those shows. And a lot of times I just start at the beginning and then I scroll, find out who won that, scroll, find out who won, scroll, find out who won, scroll. Because part of what gives everybody the conflict and the drama is the way that they portray everything that's happening, right? So if I just go, okay, these two are doing it, that's what they did, that's who won, I find that my anxiety is less because of the programming I'm taking in is less. So media detox, guys, what can you do to help you if you're struggling with this? Take a 7 to 14 day break from the news and toxic feeds. Now, you're going to say, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. It's not hard. Read a book, play a game on your computer, listen to music, and get out of the habit of coming home and flicking on the TV and listening to all this programming that is coming through. You can do it. And what you're going to find is that your mind is actually going to become clearer when you do this because you're not getting all this fear-based programming. Curate your feed. Follow healing accounts. Follow me, guys. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Healing with Heather Lena. Follow me. I do positive stuff all the time. Follow spiritual leaders. Follow educators and motivational creators. People that are putting out positivity, light, and love, not fear-based programming. Digital boundaries. Turn off your notifications. Use apps like Freedom or OneSec to pause social media access. And replace screen time with nature time or healing podcasts. So if you really absolutely need to be listening to something when you're cooking dinner, turn on a podcast. Turn on a healing podcast. Turn on my podcast. Go back and watch all the ones you missed, right? Do these things that are going to help you not take in this fear-based programming and this anxiety and control. By doing that, what's actually going to happen is you're actually going to be like, because I literally can tell you that when I start watching a lot of TV or listening, even if like I go to somebody's house and they've got the news on, I can only do that for like 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, I got to go. I can't do this. I got to go. And you'll find that the more you do it, the more you're going to be like, yeah, this is causing me anxiety and I just need to not do it. So your affirmation for this portion: I do not consent to fear-based programming. I choose peace, truth, and clarity. And really that's what we're looking for, right? Is the truth. There are bad things happen all the time. I get that. But we want the truth about it, not what is hyped up about it or what is creating anxiety about it. And honestly, many times when I'm seeing a story over and over and over and over and over again and hyped up, and I'm like, what is it that why are they focusing on this? What is it that is being hidden? Because everybody's focus has been turned onto this. And so I start looking at what is going on over here that they're trying for us not to see by having us all come look over here. So think about that, because more times than not, I find something and I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? That was very interesting. Okay, so releasing fear from the body. And guys, I'm going to tell you, this is a big enough podcast that we will be finishing up this discussion at our next podcast and then carrying forward. So just like I talked about with your body being a computer, when we get this fear-based programming, the nervous system stores trauma and fear because it needs it for the fight or flight. So we go into fight or flight, freeze or fawn, sometimes for years. And if we are constantly feeding into that, we are constantly training our body to store this. And it's a circle that we can't get out of. It's a continuing circle that we just cannot get out of. So some things that you can do: turn off the TV, turn off the social media, really look at what's going on. Those are the 3 factors, first of all. You can do Reiki. Come see me for a Reiki session. Let's release some stagnant energy. Let's rebalance you. And let's get the solar plexus working for your personal power. All right. Breath work. Deep conscious breaths can reset the nervous system, which is why when I start this podcast, I normally start with deep breaths, because it actually helps reset the nervous system and allows you to release. And honestly, guys, as I went up and did that release and looked at that release, there was a lot of energy that released from everybody, either watching it now or in the future, because I could see it going away, because we're taking those deep breaths and we are just shoving that bad energy out and we're moving the good energy in. Sound healing. So you can do singing bowls, you can do tuning forks, drumming, right? Click. I'm always doing this. If you need a worry stone, right? Because really what you're doing is you're just moving, making sound like this. It all helps clear the vibrational patterns of fear. I love worry stones. I will pick them up every once in a while and I just sit here and I just rub them. So that would be a recommendation too, is just get a stone that can hold up to the energy that you're putting into it and taking from it, and just sit there and rub on it. Emotional freedom technique, tapping. So tap on meridian points while repeating affirmations. So like you could go, even though I have this fear, I choose to feel safe and grounded. Right here. Heart. Throat. If you have an area that's really tight, you could do this. Okay. Somatic release, shaking. So we talked about this in a prior podcast. So you can shake, get rid of some of that energy. That's why kids, when they're in school and they have a lot of vented up energy, the teachers get up and just have them shake. Kids think it's a lot of fun. They're actually just getting rid of a lot of energy. Stretching, dance, and yoga help release stored fear. So I do a lot. I'll find myself dancing around the house like this, right? Or singing. Singing would be another way to release negative energy. Just sing like there is no tomorrow. Like sing like nobody's watching. Dance like nobody's watching. Even if they are watching, just dance anyway and get all that stagnant energy out. Because remember, your body always remembers, but it can also relearn. So we can go in, we can remove these beliefs, we can retrain, relearn your body, and you can also work on it as well. So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish the podcast for the day. And then next week, I will continue on with the conversation that we're having about this. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Mike Zorek, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Radiant Spirits Rising with Heather Lena. Today we've been talking about unlearning fear. And because this is such a topic that is extensive, we will be continuing our discussion about that next week. So at this point, let's go ahead and move to our affirmation of the week. Can I get the slides, please? Our affirmation actually is to accept the shifts and changes in my life from my Today I Choose deck. Guys, those decks are available for sale. They are an amazing deck. And, you know, I'm telling you, we have to learn to accept the shifts and changes in our lives. Change is inevitable. So we want those shifts and those changes to be positive for us. We want to learn from them. We want to have wins, and we want to move forward. And we can't do that unless we actually accept the shifts and changes that are in our life. Okay, can I get the slideshow? Slide 3, please. So the service spotlight, soul integration session. So I'm talking about the trauma healing session today. These sessions are 30 minutes and 1 hour sessions that are available. These sessions focus on trauma that the client has had in their lives to release it and provide comfort. Now, trauma comes to us in many different ways, everybody. And one of the ways we get trauma is fear-based programming. So this session actually works on fear-based programming. And it talks about these sessions work on fear, anxiety, stress, grief, regret, resentment, rejections, anger, and blocks that occur when someone has suffered a traumatic event. And honestly, I'm going to say to you, almost everybody has had some kind of a traumatic event in their life. All right. So come book your session with me. Book your session. Let's start working on these fear-based processes. Next slide. So my weekly special for the week are my Zen decks, guys. These decks are normally $25. This week I am offering 10% off on them. You can have them shipped to you at an additional cost. You see these cards every week on my podcast. Do you like them? Do they resonate with you? Then you too can have your own deck. I have people who work in mediation. They use them as part of their classes. Therapists have bought them. They can be used by anybody. They were created because I needed cards to work with my clients that were not Oracle. These are not Oracle decks, everybody. You can pull multiple cards, but they are not Oracle decks. They are Zen decks. They were created by me specifically to help people bring light, love, and positivity into their life. So scan the QR code or click on my.linkpod.site/Zendex to get yours today. Next slide. I'm still offering my free ebook, guys. Have you gotten your copy yet? Go to heatherlena.com/ebook or scan the QR code on the slide, enter your information, and get my book. And remember, right now, because I'm going to the Women's Expo in Phoenix next week as a vendor, I'm going to be in slot 1018. So if you're in Phoenix at the event, come see me. If you're in Phoenix or nearby or planning in Arizona to go to that Women's Expo, sign up for my ebook, and I will also send you the link to get a free ticket into that event. So you actually get 2 gifts for the price of just nothing except giving me your name, email, and phone number and following me on my page. Next slide. I've talked about this. So Heather Lena's transformational community is shifting. In May, we will be opening up the transformational community again. Don't miss out. There are going to be slots available that are very minimal, and you will be getting a lot for your investment of your personal self. So text 928-289-5868 with the word transformation to receive updates and be one of the first ones to join the community. Next slide. All right, guys, let's lock in your personal investment for 2025. What do I mean by that? I mean, I'm going to be changing my personal investment pricing structure in May of 2025. So if you book an appointment with me before April 30th, 2025, you will maintain the current pricing that I am offering, and you will maintain that through December 31st, 2025, because you will receive a coupon code to allow you to book at the rate that I am currently offering. So, guys, do yourself a favor, book your appointment now, lock in that price. You make that personal investment. Guys, you can spend $150 a month if you pay $7 a day for coffee, or you can spend $125 right now for an investment for yourself that will last a lifetime for you and further lifetimes when you come back. So, you know what? Book your appointment now. We're changing May 1st. Next slide. Don't forget, you can watch me on my YouTube channel. If you've missed a podcast, they're all on there. Go to youtube.com at healingwithheatherlena /streams to watch all of my lives, all of my podcasts. And you know what? Join my transformational community and you'll get even more streams on there, because you will also get all of the card pulls that you'll get as part of the transformational community. Next slide. Need to contact me? I would love to hear from you. Send your questions or comments for the podcast to healingwithheatherlena@gmail.com. All other inquiries, you know what? You want to purchase merchandise, want a book, go to heatherlena.com or contact me at contact@heatherlena.com. Find us or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Healing with Heather Lena. Next slide. And our final slide and our final message is: you are not your fears. You are the light that sees beyond them. Let today be the day you choose truth, love, and freedom over fear. All right, so that's it for me for today. Come back next week so we can finish up our discussion about unlearning fear. So I'll see you next week. Talk to you later. Bye.
This has been Radiant Spirits Rising with your host, Heather Lena. Tune in each week as we step into the world of natural healing and discover the radiant spirit within you. Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios. Start your journey toward balance and renewal.